On Saturday night, November 16th, we witnessed live on HBO the anticipated return of former U.S. gold medalist and undefeated world champion Andre S.O.G. Ward. Ward had been out of action since September of last year due to a shoulder injury and promotional disputes over his contract. It was 14 months since Ward had stepped into the ring, and this past Saturday he took on another undefeated fighter, Edwin La Bomba Rodriguez. This week we change it up a bit, and we have with us, representing the Boxing Pulse, Eliud Vasquez Torres, and a young man who's covered boxing for us in the past and for the BoxingTribune.com, Ruben Diaz. Welcome, guys, and let's get to it. First question I'll ask is, what were your thoughts on Andre Ward's performance this past Saturday night? Eliud, you first.
Andre Ward's performance last night against Edwin Rodriguez was phenomenal. He put on a show. He dominated every round. He didn't give Edwin a chance. He set traps, and obviously Edwin fell for them. He didn't lose a beat. You know, those 14 months that he was off, you can tell that he was in shape, doing some kind of training, and just staying ahead of the game. Andre Ward does not take too many days off. He's a very focused man. He believes in God. Has a close relationship with his trainer, Virgil Hunter, has a great family and kids. You can't take anything away from Andre Ward. And I'm pretty sure that performance last night raised a few eyebrows. And the reason why I say that is because the way he dominated. He just looked like, he performed against Frotch a few years back. And that was something that people were questioning. Is Ward back to where he was? Are these injuries going to set him back? Is he going to look slow? What Ward are we going to be, watching? And we got probably the best Ward. A guy who didn't get hit too much, didn't get punished at all. And he actually was the one that was doing the punishing. And the future looks bright for Andre.
Now, Ruben, the same question.
Basically, Ward put on a dominant performance against a guy that I never thought was at the caliber, nowhere near the caliber of fighter that Ward is, and has just because of his record and who he's fought and who I've seen him fight. Nothing on Rodriguez's resume that could have prepared him and was in the same breath as Andre Ward. That being said, and besides the whole 2-pound weight issue, which Rodriguez failed to make weight, everything was pretty much stacked against the guy, even though Ward was coming off a 14-month layoff and major shoulder surgery. That being said, Ward did everything he had to do, put on a great performance against Rodriguez. But I just think it's ironic that after the fight, Ward is saying that Golovkin can, or anybody, including Golovkin, can look like a knockout artist against C-level competition. Well, I mean, don't be a hypocrite, because Rodriguez was not A-level competition.
Ruben, let me ask you this. Were you entertained by Andre Ward's performance?
Ward, let's be honest, he doesn't excite. He doesn't have the power, even though he said so in the lead up to the fight with Rodriguez. But, that's just not his forte and his style of fighting. But I think that, he doesn't, I don't know if he has it in him to excite and step out of his shell of what we know Andre Ward to be. He's a gold medalist, he's a great fighter, great champion, elite level. But, it's not for everybody. I think he's personally a mix between Floyd Mayweather and Bernard Hopkins, but more so Bernard Hopkins.
Eliud, let me ask you, do you feel that Ward now deserves to be on pay-per-view? And what are your thoughts on a potential showdown between Andre Ward and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.? And what fight do you think Andre Ward can be in on pay-per-view that can generate mass sales for him?
We don't know exactly what his next move is. 175 will be a great move. You got fights up there like Bernard Hopkins, Adonis Stevenson, Sergey. You know, you got fights up there that he could definitely make money and possibly even pay-per-view money. So Ward right now, he's in the driver's seat and he's, a hot commodity right now. He just gave Mayweather a run for his money for the number one pound for pound spot, and I don't see, I see Ward being the number one pound for pound fighter very soon. Mayweather is 36 now. He can't be on top forever. He's looking possibly for more fights, and Ward is just warming up his career. And do I feel that Ward is a pay-per-view fighter? Maybe not just yet. But then again, Mayweather did not become a pay-per-view attraction until he was at least 30 years old. Andre Ward right now is, I believe, 29. So, he still has time for that. And which fights do I think that Ward can possibly be on pay-per-view? At 168, if he decides to stay there, I can see him fighting Chavez Jr. on pay-per-view because of Chavez Jr.'s popularity. And Chavez's last fight on pay-per-view, they made a lot of pay-per-view buys when he fought Sergio Martinez. Although he did lose that fight, he had the Mexican crowd behind him. He still does. And, that would be an intriguing pay-per-view fight. Would I think that fight will be competitive? I don't think so. I think that he will dominate Chavez Jr. the same way that he dominated Edwin Rodriguez, possibly even more. And the other fight at 168 that I could see him being on pay-per-view would probably be against Golovkin, Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, because Gennady right now is on a hot streak. He's knocking everybody out. I don't think he's gotten to the distance since 2008. He's got over, 12, 13 knockouts in a row, and people will see that two undefeated champions going at it. So that's the other fight I could see pay-per-view if he stays at 168. And if, of course, Triple G decides to move up, we don't know what he's up to. We don't know what he's going to do. But those are the only two fights I can see Andre Ward actually being on pay-per-view.
Eliud, you mentioned Bernard Hopkins. Can you touch on a little bit more for that for our listeners, please?
I mentioned Hopkins earlier. Hopkins is the oldest champion right now. Every time he defends his title, he's making history. So why not make history with Andre Ward? Ward is the last Olympic male fighter to win a gold medal. And whenever you have those historical proportions under your belt, that could create a pay-per-view fight. Even though I think Hopkins and Ward fight, you probably won't see that much excitement as you would with, let's say, Adonis Stevenson. But because these two men have marquee names, it could be a pay-per-view attraction. And possibly also against Stevenson. If that fight can be made either in Oakland or in Canada, where Stevenson has a huge following, then maybe that can be pay-per-view. But right now, the pay-per-view is very thin for Ward, and it's not his fault. It's just that people in boxing are a little bit more bloodthirsty. They want to see those Gaddy-type fights. And with Ward, you're not going to see that. Ward is not one of those fighters who goes out there and tries to get hit twice for he could, throw one good shot in there. He's a technician. He leads by ring generalship. He has good foot movement, so he's not going to get hit in there. And quite frankly, I don't think he's ever been hit. I don't think he's ever been hit in a fight that makes you think, oh, he's slipping. So that's what I have to say about Andre Ward. A phenomenal performance. against Edwin Rodriguez. Won every round, in my opinion. He showed no sign of slippage, and I can't wait to see him back in the ring.
Ruben, similar question. Can Ward sell on pay-per-view? And your thoughts on Chavez Jr. versus Andre Ward if it were to happen? If it gets made, who wins?
What's on the table here is a proposed pay-per-view fight with Chavez Jr. Questions being asked, does Ward belong on pay-per-view? Well, you can say that just based on his resume, yeah, he does. He's pretty much worked his way up to that, and he deserves that. But a fight against Chavez Jr., I don't see that as being competitive at all. And Chavez Jr., I mean, his last fight was against Brian Vera, a comeback fight in which many people thought he lost, should have lost. And that's what it is. But will the fight sell? Absolutely, because Chavez Jr. is making a name off his father's name, and just basically living off that. Skill-wise and as a fighter, Chavez Jr. has done nothing to show any of us that, he has his own merit and his own clout. Aside from that, I see that fight, Ward versus Chavez Jr., that would be pretty boring. Would probably do well in pay-per-view just because of Chavez Jr., but it would probably be another Ward blowout, win every round, and there's really, not even from the diehard boxing public, demand for that fight, but, business is business, and Ward is obviously, trying to capitalize off his name and what he can do, and he's coming back. But I don't see Chavez Jr. standing a chance in that fight.